how to find your why. It's a lot of exploration. Early on the stages, like, it's all about exploration and gathering as much input as you can. And you don't have to necessarily commit to everything you find out in the world, but, is basically cast your net pretty wide.
Okay.
Start with casting your net wide in things that elicit an emotion from you, both good and bad.
Okay.
So go attend things that really pump you up, really jazz you up, really just excite you, and make note of it. Take note of it. Take the time, like after the event happens, sit and reflect. Like, why was I feeling? Like, why did I feel such emotion? Like, identify the people who were there. Identify the subject and the objects that were in the room. That, like, what really, like, gave me energy. And then after you do that, do the reverse of that. Say, okay, what really drains me? What did I not like attend to? What was I hesitant about?
Right.
So the first part of finding your why is really explore the options.
Okay.
Explore your options, explore your area, explore your network, explore your community. I'm a big advocate, and my company is also a big proponent of always teaching creators how to find a mission that's going to benefit their community.
Oh, okay.
Try to keep it local because that's where you live.
Right.
It's easy to try and be idealistic about a community that's thousands of miles away or 400 miles away.
Sure.
There's someone that's not in your backyard. It's easy to
Right.
talk about that because then it's hard to, because the secret, the thing that people, they don't like to talk about is when they get to the how and they don't know how to answer, they can just leave it alone. And, sometimes people use that as a barrier to keep themselves from progressing. So sometimes people choose to not think about how they're going to do something. They just want to keep on talking about why.
Okay.
Anyway, so start local. Maybe it's like you already have a career. Talk to your coworkers. Talk to family members. Talk to friends. Just have conversations with them about the way the community is. Oftentimes, like, you ask different people, they'll tell you something different, and then maybe you find one that really excites you, and you start pulling on that string more. So keeping it local and exploring, that's really the first step.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think there's also value, too, to reading up on people in your industry and what they're doing and their why, because a lot of times, especially if it comes to nonprofits, but even with creatives, a lot of people share their whys and their mission statements or, whatever it is, their bigger picture, their big vision on their website, or if it's, an artist, maybe it's on their, like if it's a musical artist, I'm just thinking maybe it's on their like Spotify page when you read their bio or whatever. And so like you can find people in your industry too that are, already making it, already kind of, like have found their why, have found their how, and are really going for it. And like kind of, you don't have to do exactly what they're doing. I don't believe that that's even beneficial, but to get an idea, to get a gauge of like, I'm someone who I can't really actualize anything until I have like a sample. And so even in art, like before I ever start a project, if I'm going to draw something, paint something, I always start with finding a reference picture. And so even if I don't draw it exactly the way it is on the reference picture or even remotely close, I need to look at something that will help me kind of like take the image in my mind and get it out, And so like having an example for you as a creative of someone who is in your industry, who's succeeding at their craft as a business, not just, making cool art, but like actually succeeding as a business, if that's your goal, just find them, research them, find them. If, maybe they'll even answer you if you reach out to them and ask them what their why is. People are surprising.
Yeah, ask them like what got them started.
Exactly.
They're often they'll probably give one or two different sentiments in the response. Like
right.
They'll either have like a famine mentality or a feast mentality, meaning famine meaning I'm gonna hoard all the secrets, I'm not gonna tell you,
right,
because you'll eventually be my competition and I might lose to you. And there are plenty of people like that
sure.
out there. But then there's the kind of the feast mentality, is like just because I have some doesn't mean you can't have any. So therefore I'm gonna share with you. So you want to keep your eyes open and your ears active, listening. Like, what kind of sentiment they're sharing with you, because
Definitely.
they might give you advice that's gonna, walk you off a cliff.
Sure.
And they might give you advice that has a nugget of truth or nugget of gold inside, and you kind of like, okay, this person is sharing something with me that I can bring forward to another conversation with somebody else. And
right.
So the feast of famine kind of response, like with business owners, like that's a good start.
Yeah.
Because you want to find people who want to share the wealth.
Yeah, there's some out there. It's not everyone. They're kind of few and far apart, but you'd be surprised at responses you get, because I've gotten responses from reaching out on DMs on Instagram to, pretty famous artists, and they've responded back to me and given me advice on, or told me which brush they're using, even the little things like that I ask questions about. And so, like, I think there's a lot of value to researching people in your industry, and also understanding origin stories, because I think you mentioned, like, ask them how they got started. Like, I think a lot of people's why comes from their origin. Like, I started art because I needed a way to express what I was feeling or whatever. And so I think there's a lot of value in both of those things, asking for advice, or like asking why they do what they do, but also asking about origin stories.